Girls, what was the most obvious hint you dropped and the guy just didn't get it? I'm a guy here, but I know Amanda would say. I literally jumped on him and tried to kiss him, but he just laughed awkwardly, dodging my kisses and telling me stop being so silly. Realized it like a day later, but she'd moved to another state. That was the last time I ever saw her. I asked a guy on a festival to come take a shower with me. He didn't get it. He just repeated there was only one free shower, and I was like, well, they are big, I'm sure it's fine, and he just looked confused and told me I could go first. We became close friends since that happened about 2 years ago, and this summer I spoke to him about it, and he really had no idea. He did the biggest facepalm I've ever seen. Invited him over to watch a movie, eventually laying my legs across his lap and hard flirting, but after 4 movies I had to finally make the move. Literally said I want to be yours and the dude just keeps smiling and goes on about random space facts. That one hurt a bit. I'm not as brutally upfront as some of these people, but mine happened yesterday. How do I know a girl is flirting with me? He asks. She touches you a lot while you two are talking. I cannot relate at all. That never happens to me. I'm sure it does. I tell him and hit his arm. I can't think of any time that's ever happened. I'm a guy, but I once had an experience where I took the hint but still got rejected. A girl had asked me if I lost my virginity yet. We were in high school. When I said I hadn't, she said that I could practice on her whenever I want. Mind you, we walking home after school because we lived close. I try to act on this hint when we get to her house, and she said she was only joking and doesn't want it to be weird with us as friends. We were discussing costumes, and I sent a picture of me in my bunny suit and said I'd need help out of it. His response was telling me he hoped my roommate was home, or that would suck. I had to tell him I was implying I'd like him to take it off me, and it took him a minute to catch up. On our first date, my current boyfriend and I went out to dinner, to a bar, and eventually back to his house to watch scary movies. After hanging out for almost 8 hours at that point, practically cuddling into him the entire time we were watching movies, dropping as many hints as I could, around 3 AM, when we were both fighting to stay awake, I finally had to look his dumbass in the eye and ask, so are you going to kiss me or not? Though he was totally oblivious, it did show his good heart. He was about to let me fall asleep on his couch and spend the night without even trying to kiss me. I knew he was a keeper after that. I'm a guy, but I can share my density as a guy that missed the hints. I went to a store where there was a girl I liked in college. We used to small talk while I browsed and never bought anything, being a poor college student. This time I came in the store and she and I chatted a bit while I shopped. She complained, I'm going to be home alone tonight. My family is out of town. I replied, oh, that's too bad. She says, I'm off at 5 today. It was 4 at the time. What are you up tonight? I'm up for anything. Oh, nothing. Just sitting at home and watching a movie. My brain must have completely self-destructed because the conversation ended there. I never saw her again after that. She either quit or was avoiding me. I must have been in a daze from school to miss that cue. We were talking about canoes, and I said I'm like a canoe because I'm wet, and you can go inside me, and he said, canoes aren't really wet. I threw my panties at him, and he kept explaining God of War lore. I had a girl invite me round her house once, just to show me her posters. They were all of Harley Davidson motorbikes, and she said she's never ridden a Harley before. Awkward silence, and after a few other sort bits of small talk I decided to be on my way. 2 years later I'm sitting on the bus and realize what she meant. Holly. Ridden the Holly. My name is Holly. One time a girl straight up asked if I wanted to take my pants off, and I didn't get it. I was like, no, they're actually not uncomfortable at all. Guy here, but once had a girl drag me into the bathroom while at a college party saying she needed help finding her marker/pen. We didn't find it, and I figured out what was really going on a year later. A girl came to my house once and spent the night. Around the time for bed, she told me she doesn't sleep with a top on or panties. I told her that's okay, I'll sleep on the couch so she can be comfy. She called me from downstairs later that night and told me she couldn't sleep and she was cold. I figured, well, obviously, you're naked. So I gave her another blanket and went back downstairs. I'm a guy, but one time I was hanging with a longtime friend of mine who I used to have a crush on, and who knew that I had a crush on her and had rejected me numerous times over 7 to 8 years in her dorm. We decided that we were both tired, but our other bed was occupied by our other friend, so I was gonna lay down on the floor. She was like, "There's room in my bed for you anytime." So I hop in bed with her thinking nothing of it. The next few minutes were kind of a blur, but eventually we were literally hugging with her leg wrapped around me, and she looked me in the eyes, bit her lip, and said that she was horny. I never made a move beyond that, since she had spent the past almost decade of my life rejecting my advances. I used to be oblivious, probably still am. There was a girl at a local grocery store who was flirting with me, but of course, I didn't get it. After quite a bit of this, I leave town for a few months and we are corresponding via email. I can't remember why, but I was asking her a string of silly questions, like, why is the sky blue? Chicken or the egg first? Where do babies come from? Etc. She answered them all, saving where do babies come from for last, and answered it with, when you get back I'm going to show you. I got that one. I went out of my way to come in early and talk to this guy every day for like a month before someone else told him I was into him. I also repeatedly told him I liked him. He thought I was just being nice. Before my boyfriend asked me out, he kept hinting at the fact that we were both single and everyone thought we would be cute together. I was like, haha, yeah, not realizing he was trying to ask me out. Complained I was a bit cold, so he gave me a blanket. I then told him there's space for two under the blanket, in an obvious flirting tone. He answered with no thanks, I'm not cold. I still tease him with it once in a while. We are married now. Holy cow, I'm mentally slow. I just realized I was him a week or two ago. I went on a second date with a girl to a hockey game, and I don't feel comfortable doing touchy-feely stuff until I outright say I'm ready to commit seriously. So halfway through she says, man, it's pretty cold in here, isn't it? And I said no, if anything I'm a little warm. Things went normally for the rest of the game, but afterwards I got straight ghosted. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why, but that may or may not be it. It could be anything really, but I hadn't connected those dots yet, so I physically facepalmed when the light bulb went off. After chatting for hours on top of a mountain from sunset until like 2 AM, sharing a blanket, me leaning my head on his shoulder, telling him he's attractive, etc., he turns to me and says, how do you tell if a girl is into you? When my boyfriend and I had just started dating, we were laying down watching a movie, but this was a small bed, and he was being respectful and giving me space. I kept wiggling backwards so I could get closer to him, and he kept inching backwards too, since he thought I was just trying to get comfortable, and he was in the way. He ended up sitting in a chair next to the bed. 3 years later we are still together, and I still think it's pretty funny. He told me that when he was in the chair he purposefully left his hand next to me in case I wanted to hold it, but I guess I missed that sign too. He didn't get out of the bed because he was uncomfortable. He truly thought he was taking up too much space and didn't realize I was trying to cuddle. Not a girl, but I was staying a night at a hotel, and the hotel bar had just closed. I went out front for a smoke and started chatting with 2 women. We shoot the shit for a few minutes and then all head back into the hotel and to the elevator. We get in, they press 15, I press 9, and one of them turns to me and says, I don't suppose there's a secret bar on the 9th floor we can go to? My dumbass responds, no, but you can grab a cab and be at a bar in 10 minutes. Then the doors open and I leave. We matched on Bumble, dating app that the girl has to talk first, and I started a convo with him. He thought I just matched him because we were friends. No, it's a dating app. We didn't start dating until almost a year after that. We are married now. When I was like 15 to 16, this girl from school I had a huge crush on kept inviting me to her house when she was alone, wearing the smallest tops and asking for back massages. I never got the hint. Years later when I started going out with my now fiance, that girl's sister tells my GF. Hey, my sister had such a crush on him back in school. I was not a bright teenager. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, do all the YouTube stuff and I'll see you all tomorrow.